Hey guys, Dwayne here. Today I want to talk a little bit about catastrophic thinking and getting in that feedback loop where you, with the absence of information, you start catastrophizing and thinking about the worst possible outcomes of everything that could happen with what you're dealing with. It's actually a normal response. I think it's probably more normal for people in our situation who've been through this type of emotional abuse and either been raised in it and had to deal with it on a constant basis, because we get programmed to expect and anticipate those type of responses. So, we're actually our own worst enemies in this regard because, even though something isn't necessarily bad is going on, we get ourselves so caught up in thinking about it and thinking how maybe we didn't anticipate something, or maybe somebody who we thought was on our side, or you know, basically we're thinking that we misread what was going on, and we have this incorrect view, and something really bad's going to happen, and everything is just going to be horrible, and we get caught into this loop regularly, and guys, I'm equally as guilty of having this problem as well. I think as time has gone on for me, I've recognized that I do that. Unless I'm really tired or worn down, I typically can stop myself from getting in that mode. But it's always something that I do have to struggle with, and more than likely, you are going through the same thing. And what I will say is, I've even seen that with some of the interaction with you guys, and even just with the comments. And I've seen it with other people who are kind of codependent, and what I mean by that is the lack of information. Like if there's been a few times, I mean, I've been really busy lately, so I've been unable to jump on the comments as much as I would like. And there's been a couple of situations where that absence of response, people can interpret that, they'll relook at maybe what they said, or what they how maybe what they said could have been interpreted differently, and think that I personally have had a negative response to it. And I think 99% of the time that's not the case. And I've seen that like in other situations too, where if there's something out there and a piece of information or conversation, I mean, like even a text. I've even had this with friends of mine where a conversation will be going, and then I'll have to stop and won't be able to respond, and then it'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, maybe you misunderstood me or something like that. And it's really not that. It's just that haven't been able to respond. Now the problem is for people in our situations, the reason, in my opinion, that we even have this issue is because we have been criticized and put down and cut down and emotionally manipulated for so long that we anticipate it. I'll give you an example of a conversation I had, and this was actually a pivotal point for me with my girlfriend. We were talking about something, and I'm trying to remember what exactly it was. It was something I think I was going to have her try, and I was like, oh, hey, try this, but you're probably going to hate it. And I was really negative on it. It was like I was already anticipating that it wasn't going to be good enough. And basically what I was doing is I was setting the stage to where if she didn't like it or wasn't happy with something, it was okay, because I already set the groundwork to be, for if she was disappointed with it, to be okay with it, right? And I mean, and if you think about it, and at the time when she brought it up to me, she's like, why do you do that? Why do you, why are you always criticizing yourself, and you're just assuming that things are going to be negative? And it really, that conversation, and the reason I want to bring it up is because maybe you can think about this as well, but that conversation allowed me to take a step back and look at it and really see what I was doing. And then I could evaluate my past experiences with my ex, and even just growing up, on how everything that happened always had to be demeaned or diminished, or something had, it couldn't be great. And I think we get caught into that. I think because of the experiences we've had, we're just so attuned to things going wrong and people disappointing us, or doing things to emotionally hurt us or emotionally manipulate us, that we get caught in this mode where it's really easy for if there's a lack of information, or a lack of if there's no interaction. What I mean is that if you okay, for instance, let's say we were going to meet for coffee, and I said, hey, do you want to meet for coffee at 10 o'clock? And I send you a text, or I send you a message, and I don't hear anything back. What we'll have a tendency to do is think, oh crap, did I make them mad? I mean, they're not answering because, they're pissed off, or they're frustrated or something. And that's what I'm talking about, right? And then it even goes into, I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's some construction going on in the background. It even goes into whenever you're trying to deal with one of these situations and something doesn't happen, that lack of information starts stressing you out. And what we need to think about is, unless something really happens that's bad, you need to not get yourself caught up in that situation where you're stressing yourself out, or you're causing yourself your own drama when there isn't any drama. Because the problem is, well, it's two-phase, right? One is you're negatively impacting your day and your life by having that mindset, and if it doesn't ultimately happen, then you've wasted that time. You've wasted that time, dealing with it and catastrophizing about it whenever you didn't need to. Secondly, if it does happen, maybe do a couple of things to prepare for it. Like in the situation of the coffee, it's like, okay, well, if they're not going to go, I'm still going to go, and it's not a big deal, right? And and that's similarly in other situations. If you think that someone has turned on you or whatever, you can make a little bitty plan and go, okay, well, maybe that happens, and prepare yourself, but don't dwell in it, because if it doesn't happen, you've wasted that time and that energy that you could have put towards something else, benefited yourself in a better way, and not got yourself stuck in that feedback loop. Okay, so like I said, well, I mean, I've already said it. We've been programmed from this, probably from an early age, even from our family of origin, where we grew up in this environment where it was a pervasive, reoccurring theme to where you were disappointed. People didn't do what they said they were going to do, or you go in and you're like, oh, hey, look, I have this nice thing I've worked on, and you're demeaned on it, or you're belittled on it. I think a good example of that on movies, if not The Untouchables, but the one with Gru, where he's going to his mom, hey mom, I made a rocket ship out of macaroni, I did this, I did that, and it's like, meh, I mean, it's always like, you don't get any recognition for things that you have achieved, and you're starved for it, and then you're always anticipating that someone is going to disappoint you. So like I said, I've done it too. I've given you some examples where I've done it, and the other side of this, which I'll mention that I'm going to start talking a little bit more about this coming in the future, just because it's more on the dating side of it. But conversely, when you end up with somebody who doesn't do that, who constantly is acting and treating you with respect, and acknowledging what you're doing, and values your opinion, and isn't demeaning you or dismissing you or discarding you. And I say in that regard, I'm not talking about actually leaving you. I'm just talking about like just discarding that you're even, you're important. It's like, oh yeah, oh, okay, oh well, whatever. Well, I don't care about your situation. Let's talk about mine or whatever. What I mean by that is that if you when you're going through that situation and you're anticipating somebody doing what you're used to, when they don't, it can actually mess with your mind, because you don't really understand why they are treating you okay, right? So the main thing about this video is I just wanted you to take a step back, and I wanted you to think about it, because I think all of us, being basically codependents and empaths, and people that fall into this category, because of our experiences, we tend to catastrophize about what could happen. That means I mean, and I could run through a laundry list of things, but you know, that means that your ex is going to take you back to court, and you're going to lose in court, and all your mutual friends are going to side with your ex and basically, you know, validate what you know they're saying about you, what she's saying or what your ex is saying, and what those people are saying about you, and you know, all will be lost, right? It's easy to get in that frame of mind and that thinking, but I'm telling you guys, it just doesn't really accomplish much. So if you could take some time and just think about it and try to catch yourself when you're doing it, because I think it's one of those things that's so normal. Like in that example I was talking about with me earlier, I didn't, until it was pointed out to me, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And it was a standard, you know, like my standard programming where I would immediately respond to that on a bunch of different things and to a bunch of different people. And it's just, I didn't even, you know what, prior to that conversation, I didn't even realize I was doing it. So I ask you to just take a step back, think about it, see if you can catch if you're doing it, and then try to catch it if you're doing it, and then stop it, and then really think and say, okay, well, you know, has this bad scenario played out? Well, no, it hasn't, right? And is there anything I can do about it? You know, I mean, okay, yeah, there are a couple things that you can do to prepare yourself, mentally prepare yourself and whatnot. But bottom line is, once you've done that, you need to just take a step away from it and move on from it, because it really doesn't do anything good for you. Okay, so if you have some experiences where, you know, you've recognized this on yourself and you've been able to make changes, or maybe even if you're, you know, from this video touches a chord and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I am doing that. You know, leave a comment in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If the channel is helping you, please subscribe. And if you know somebody else who's struggling with this, maybe, you know, you may recognize this in yourself, and maybe you're looking at it and you're going, oh, I know my friend, you know, Bill, he does that. Share the video with them, and maybe it can help them to take a step back and start to get out of that mindset. And I will catch you guys on the next video. So take care. Bye.